Idea what we have going on. The Rankin Bridge, I think Tom did give you some information regarding this. From center line to bearing, center line to bearing is 2,424 feet. We're doing the replacement of the deck. But primarily what we're doing, if you look up on the board, we did draw it up. The existing deck has a curb to curb of 44 feet with two sidewalks on either side of 7 foot 8 inches on either side. Okay. However, they don't have a, it's a broken curb rail. It's not the typical PA barrier or barrier in the fill. It's a partition rail in a sense of concrete curbing, which is fractured off significantly. What we're currently doing is working on the downstream side or the homestead, the waterfront side, to give you a bearing. And the intent will be to remove that portion of the deck and install. This is backwards, but we will widen the deck to a 44-foot, four 11-foot lanes and two 7-foot shoulders. We will eliminate one sidewalk on one side, but we will install a sidewalk on the upstream side of 7 foot 7 inches with a new PA barrier on either side. You actually will increase the overall out-to-out from 59.4 to 67.1. So we're actually widening the bridge structure itself in its entirety for safety, and also upgrading it for safety with the Pennsylvania barrier to block the sidewalk and safety for pedestrians.
All the widening on one side?
No, it's actually split between the two. We actually removed the K-bracing and the sidewalk onto one, and that you'll actually see that when we go out. They're installing a new overhang and 2 new stringers on the outside for that support and beefing that up. We are strengthening the structure itself. There are some deficiencies. We're doing structural repairs, concrete repairs, and as a result of the Minnesota bridge collapse that happened a little while back, this wasn't part of the original contract, but was and is going to be added. It was determined that the gusset plates were the safety feature that failed. Was the feature that failed, not a safety feature. And as such, we are going to be doing gusset plate strengthening as part of this project. And I believe it's the first bridge in the District 11 and this side of the state to be increasing strengthening.
This is
Curb is in bad shape.
wow. Hey, many Christmas.
Railing too.
If we had a structure that looked like that offshore, it would be
Waiting against that
shut
railing.
down. Wow.
There you go. Oh, I see their safety harnesses. All those guys that are down there. Believe it or not, this was not the worst of the bridges.
Since we can't go underneath, you get a good idea right there. It's a suspended corrugated steel flooring underneath the structure the whole way across. That was actually installed by the painters as part of their containment, but at the same time they utilize it as working platform. It is loaded for human. It does have to be checked, so it can be a working platform. It's only it's less than 6 feet below the structure, so while you're in the middle of the structure, it allows you not to have to be tied off, and you can walk through and around as you need. There are some access points through the sidewalk on the opposite side, but most of it we handle through a stair tower on the right side there. We pull underneath, access it up the stair tower and onto the structure that way. So you can see, as I mentioned, 95% of the bridge is now the lovely battleship primer gray, because it's been blasted and fully painted. Any of the rust you see is actually just bleeding through of plates that were blasted before. The overhangs have been installed. We're going to walk up on the structure. You'll get a nice view of that. But on the right-hand side, you can see the new cantilever and 2 stringers that have been installed. In the center span, it isn't installed where the spiders are hanging from. You can see the orange sheets. That's the Century Steel working to remove the rivets, do structural steel repairs and stuff like that. In the center is actually where they're removing the deck. You can see the excavator. They've saw cut the deck down into liftable sections, and then they'll load those onto a flatbed and carry them out. Flatbed actually is back here. They're carrying them back with the front end loader for now until they get a little bit further away. A lot of the spall repairs are on the opposite side. That's where the caissons were installed also. But predominantly the amount of work going on is the structural steel repairs right now and the demolition of the deck. So if you want to head up that way, you can see that the steel grid deck is soft cut, ready to be lifted out. The 4-foot section long and 16 feet wide to be lifted out and put on a truck to be taken out. We moved the 4-stringer, they removed 4 bays of the deck, 4-foot section.
that's a solid plate that goes across the joint. The other members don't go across. The other plates, they stop right there. It's only the gusset plate that goes across the joint. And that allows them to use a bunch of small pieces and put the bridge together in small pieces. Because they didn't have the big cranes like we have today. Now we bring great big massive members on and put the whole thing in place. Because time and labor is the big expense. Back then labor was cheap and materials were expensive. That ratio has changed.